Throughout Black History Month, we're highlighting barrier breakers here on NBA TV. In this edition, the NBA's greatest champion. Bill Russell won 11 titles with the Celtics dynasty of the 1960s, grabbing 5 MVP trophies along the way for his unyielding defense and tenacious rebounding. And in the middle of his Hall of Fame playing career, he became a pioneer in 1965 when Red Auerbach retired and chose Russell to replace him as a player coach.
First place he said to me, "Do you want the job?" I said, "Red, I've watched you 10 years, and I watched what you're going through. Nobody want that." I said, "Most people don't know that's a terrible job you got." So he says, "No." He said, "You want it?" I said, "No." He says, "Then we're gonna go and try to find somebody." So finally, I said, "Okay, Red, I tell you what, I'll do it."
And so he did. Part of an amazing Hall of Fame career, 11 times a champion, as I mentioned, and 5 times an NBA MVP, the heart and soul of that Celtics dynasty in the 1960s, and then went on to be coaches in a couple of other stops as well, including in Sacramento, Kenny, where he was your head coach.
He was my head coach, and he drafted me to the NBA. So, I have a lot to owe to him just on that note alone, but being around him and being around greatness, you know when you're around it. And, the stories that I would hear, the lessons that I learned from him were invaluable. The 2 things that stick out for me, Greg, is the first, when I was complaining one time about foreign players coming into the league. And he says, Kenny, as African-American, you can never complain about inclusion. Like this small words that meant so much in small time, in small moments, he made bigger, and he made every thought process bigger. And then funny stories, on how he was. One day he was actually sleeping in practice. Willis Reed was running the practice, and he's sleeping in practice, and he kind of falls off the thing, and I'm sitting on this. I'm laughing. I'm pointing at him. And he looks at all of us, and he says, "If y'all wasn't so damn boring, I wouldn't be sleeping here. Get out the gym." So he throws us out the gym for being boring. So the greatness, being around him was so much fun, and getting to know him and, actually calling him coach was one of the, best memories I've ever had.
It's funny, thinking about his greatness, a part of it was his mental greatness. Like, he was really brilliant. Mm-hmm. As not just an athlete, but just as a person in general. And I think that the entire league, when he was playing, understood that. I was reading some stuff about it. The year that Wilt scored, I think, 100 points, Bill Russell was the MVP of the league that year and wasn't even All-NBA. He didn't even make the All-NBA team, but
right.
He was MVP of the league. That's pretty crazy. You would never see that happen in today's game. And that's a testament, because his impact wasn't just about what he did statistically,
right.
And it's funny, he's that way today. Like, he just has that it quality and that factor about how.
And, and it was funny because when we had a terrible team in Sacramento one time, and a reporter asked, do you think you're a good coach? And he said, well, I'm sitting with him, because my job actually was to sit next to him at all playing meetings.
You said that. He made you.
He made me sit next to him. So we're sitting down, and the reporter asks, "You think you're a good coach, Bill?" And he goes, "Well, if it was a party and anyone who won an NBA championship as a coach was invited to that party, I'd be there. As a matter of fact, anybody who won back-to-back championships, I'd be at that party too." He said, well, wait. But, Bill, you had the luxury of coaching one of the greatest players ever, yourself. He said, well, who do you think is the greatest coach ever? He goes, Red Auerbach. He said he didn't win a damn championship without Bill Russell. That's Bill Russell.
It's true. One of the great winners of all time, and one of the great laughs of all time as well. Guy who loves life, Bill Russell. Our Barriers Breaker, and we'll be presenting Barrier Breakers throughout the month of February here on Game Time. Back with more after this.